16th, 2025. This is The Grid, analyzing power with me, Kourosh, professional engineer licensed with the state of California. And this live stream is brought to you by Zayuk. Zayuk Smart Property System, document and store property information effectively. This is a system that digitizes property. Our primary vertical, our primary product was aimed at real estate, and we are in the process over the next year of rolling out a grid product. We found that there are companies that have budgeting, analysis, and very similar infrastructure issues to real estate. And in that case, as a professionally licensed electrical engineer in power, this was an avenue I thought especially was very valuable, especially in the fact that you want to create a smart contracting protocol, a decentralized finance protocol, and this will become hugely important as what Sam Altman has once said, compute. There's going to be a point where the power is going to be very, I mean, it already is, and it's a highly complex issue, but as we get into AI, compute requires energy, and it's an interesting instance, and compute requires power, and power has an associated cost. And with that said, Zayuk now provides and is in the process of creating, and we will release it later this year, our system for utilities, and specifically for companies that manage their grid. That includes our inspection service, that includes our budgeting service, that includes our smart contracting system, that includes our meeting system, that includes our work order system as well. RFP, request for proposals, if that's something you need as a utility. We found that the highest value items is our budgeting and our asset ledger, and in that case, along with the meeting protocol. So we will begin by going through current events in the energy grid. So we'll start off with OpenPR, US AI and renewable energy market outlook, smart grid and energy forecasting innovations. I'm actually going to skip this one. We'll go to the next one. This is by ChinaDaily.com, powering the future smartly. Integration of AI and green energy can pay rich dividends. Recent years, AI has witnessed explosive growth while green energy sector is undergoing significant transformations. Fusion of AI and green energy is emerging as a key driver of economic development. This encompasses solar, wind, hydro, biomass, and nuclear power. I'm curious as to know what biomass is. Organic matter from plants, waste, animals that can be converted into energy. Combustion, gasification, anaerobic digestion, producing heat, electricity, and biofuels. So, biomass. All right, we'll continue because it's not the main portion of this. Peaking carbon dioxide emissions before 2030 and achieving carbon neutrality before 2060. China stands as the world's largest producer of green energy, boasting a comprehensive, robust green energy industry chain. And I believe that's where we, as the country of the USA, are not as well developed. And Elon Musk speaks about it. He says design is easy, production at scale is 100 times harder. And it seems extremely difficult, and it's a really interesting form of principles when you begin to start a technology or any sort of product that production at scale is much harder than design. Design is not easy and you need good taste, but then especially in these hardware instances, production at scale, and China has this in the renewables. Forefront of developing AI models, widespread adoption of AI across diverse fields through multimodal technology. Synergistic relationship between AI and green energy. AI facilitates technological and operational advancements in green energy. Smart grids, energy forecasting and management, and this is an area that Zayuk will get into in the years upcoming. Energy storage optimization, smart energy devices, flexible load and virtual power plants, technology research and material innovation, energy consumption and application, AI and green finance integration. Let's read that last one. The integration of AI and green finance emphasizes precise data management, intelligent risk assessment, and the development of innovative financial instruments. This approach encompasses various aspects of the green finance product, such as carbon accounting, monitoring multidimensional ESG assessments. What's ESG? ESG, environmentally, social, and governance. Governance, got it. Intelligent risk management and targeted resource allocation includes the innovation of financial products and services. So this is exactly, I mean, not just green finance integration, but this is where Zayuk is aiming, and it's really interesting to consider power as a currency. I think that might be where we're headed, and because when you look at Bitcoin, there's an idea that Bitcoin is hedged against energy, and I'm not going to get into it, but we'll continue. Flexible load and virtual power plants. AI enables precise analysis and prediction of user energy consumption behaviors, facilitating intelligent control of flexible loads. For instance, smart algorithms analyze consumption data to predict demand changes, offering personalized energy saving suggestions and optimization plans for users. VPP aggregates distributed energy resources to form a virtual power plant that participates in market transactions and grid operations. With AI, VPPs can monitor and control distributed energy devices in real time, optimizing production, storage, and consumption, thereby improving efficiency and grid stability. Very interesting. That's very interesting. Virtual power plants. Smart algorithms, consumption data, predict demand changes, aggregate distributed energy resources, form a virtual power plant, participate in market transactions and grid operations. Energy forecasting and management. AI analyzes historical and real-time data to predict energy demand and supply. In the realm of green energy, AI can forecast solar and wind power generation, aiding companies in better planning energy production and scheduling. Smart grids, advanced sensor systems. Okay, we'll move on. Those were all very interesting concepts. I'll be sure to refer back to in the next few days. Germany, all right, so this is from Clean Energy Wire. Germany aligns renewable rollout with slower grid expansions to cut costs. Lagging grid expansion and lower its hydrogen ambitions in a bid to reduce the costs of landmark energy transition. Reality check monitoring report. More policy focus on affordability and supply security, in addition to sustainability. Industry associations welcomed the report and said ministry's list of future energy policies priorities was necessary to improve competitiveness. And this is in response to, this is a really interesting response because it's similar, very similar to what, Zayuk's primary focus was homeowner associations, and there was a structural collapse of a building in Florida in 2021, which was devastating, and there were fatalities. And in response to that, the government passed some regulation regarding HOAs that was near excessive. It was too difficult for Floridians. It was too difficult for Floridian condo owners. And it seems it's similar to what has occurred in Europe, where, yes, the government's recognized we do need to become more renewable, but the ambitions seemed to be too quick, where you had a system in place that was working, that was maybe not functioning appropriately, but was functioning for decades. And now all of a sudden you create these very stringent requirements on yourself to say, I need to meet these requirements regarding energy in this amount of years. And Europe now has some of the highest cost energy in the world, and it's affecting the nations of Europe. And that's what this article is saying. And it's very interesting to consider that in regards to Florida as well, where they had to create new legislation in response to their old legislation to more or less say, we need protocols to make sure that we're heading in the right way. We need inspections for stories over three stories. They are required. They're required to be annually. You need to work towards getting your reserves. Things need to be recorded a certain way. And that might have been too in-depth of a rule, but it is in response to another rule that was too difficult. And so here, the results from the quote-unquote reality check energy transition monitoring report will form the basis of the coalition government's policies going forward. Energy is a highly public utility item. A report designed to lower costs and improve the competitiveness of its struggling industry. Will adjust the rollout of wind and solar panel power as well as battery storage and hydrogen electrolyzers. Future renewable additions should be grid friendly. Electricity systems need to change to ensure a secure supply at all times. This requires investments in transmission and distribution grids, but also storage, backup capacities, and interconnectors, as well as more measures to incentivize flexible electricity demand. The better coordinated these systems are, the lower the costs can fall. Numerous measures where it would be possible to lower costs. Technology neutral capacity market by 2027. Germany would strengthen cooperation on electricity and hydrogen grid planning with its neighbors. Overcome energy policy. Some associations welcomed the report, and others believed it was an alarming signal. And Germany seems they'll be updating the forecast for future energy demand and adapting grid and renewable expansion targets accordingly. Faster rollout of wind power and solar PV a focus of its energy policy to pave the transition to low-carbon electricity and make up for sluggish expansion in previous years. However, the growing share of renewables has increased the need for grid interventions, which increase system costs that are passed on to consumers. So that's really interesting, is that the generation and the consumption items are there. So, I mean, the generation items aren't there for everyone, but it's the grid, it's the transmission of that electricity across from wherever it's being generated to wherever it's being utilized. And now that we have data centers, the cost of that power is going to go up significantly. When you have a demand from a consumer that's projected, let's Google the projections. So I'm Googling projections on data center power consumption and effect on cost of energy. Global consumption is set to more than double from an estimated 340 trillion watt hours in 2023 to 945 trillion watt hours at 2030. So right now it's about, or at that time, 1.3% of global electricity usage. That's not that crazy. Projections suggest they could consume between 6.7 and 12% of US electricity by 2028, reaching between 325 and 580 trillion watt hours. That's less significant than I thought. Still significant, but it seemed like it was projecting much higher. Significant portion, around 56% of electricity powering US data centers currently comes from fossil fuels. All right, we'll continue. Data centers threaten to overload US electricity grids. See, this is what I was thinking. Explosive growth, overload grids. Policymakers are taking a hard look at tough love solutions, bumping the energy-hungry data off grids during power emergencies. Texas tried to protect residents and data center hotspots from deadly blackouts like Winter Storm in 2021 when dozens died. That was a blackout, but I don't believe that was attributed by data centers. I believe that was attributed to, as it says, the winter storm. Concept is emerging in the 13-state mid-Atlantic grid and elsewhere as massive data centers are coming online faster than power plants can be built and connected to grids. That has elicited pushback from data centers and big tech, for whom a steady supply of power is vital. Texas wants to attract data centers as an economic boom, but faces challenge of meeting the huge volume of electricity the centers demand. Save electricity to broad blackout won't be the last. That's in regards to Texas. The grid can't keep up with fast-growing number of data center projects unfolding in Texas and perhaps 20 other states The Great Plains states and Mid-Atlantic region have produced eye-popping projections. Serves 65 million people in data center hotspots. Serves 18 million people, primarily in Kansas, Oklahoma, and other Great Plains states. That is Southwest Power Pool. Likely the biggest power users to meet growing demand. And this is by an article, NBC 5 Dallas-Fort Worth. Data center load has the potential to overwhelm the grid. Data centers might have to adjust, try to make their data centers more energy efficient. And I think that not just energy efficient, I think they are going to have to get into transform. Elon Musk has stated he's getting into building transformers. So Elon Musk understands that he needs to transmit that power and to store it, I'm sure everywhere, to storage, to usage, to his data center. He has all parts of the grid. He has he has a solar panel company. I believe he still owns it. Okay, so it was reorganized under Tesla Energy, and Tesla has a solar roof. I'm not sure if they use that. I'm really not sure, but again, Tesla has a Powerwall, a battery storage system, and now I believe they're talking about and they began producing transformers in September 2025 to address supply shortages for AI and EVs. Incredible. That's going to really enhance Tesla's capability or optimize their costs. All right, we'll continue. Big tech's AI frenzy is pressing up electricity demands around the country. Power grid is stuck in natural gas-fueled inertia. All right, we'll go to another one. UK 44 turbine farm, the fourth largest wind farm in the UK, increasing nation's access to renewable energy and offsetting 540,000 or 540,000 tons of carbon dioxide each year, powering 335,000 more homes. Sankwar 2, moving forward, developed by CWP Energy, global leader in sustainable energy solutions, onshore wind, cheapest forms of homegrown electricity, "40-year operational life for the wind farm, 100 construction staff." Hidden cost of ambiguous energy software terminology. Adapting the electrical grid to load growth and DER adoption will require mutual understanding of software requirements, capabilities, and outcomes among stakeholders. That's in the utility dive. Face of rapid load growth, electricity sector is experiencing unprecedented investment in advanced technologies as organizations try to balance reliability and affordability and decarbonization. Happening on both sides of the grid, scale of consumer adoption of distributed energy resources approaching that of utility scale generation capacity. Heat pumps, EVs, charging equipment, solar panels, home batteries. At the consumer level, or while logistics companies and corporations electrify their vehicle fleets and implement sophisticated energy management systems. Hardware investment boom is resulting in increased utility spending on sophisticated software platforms to manage thousands of independently owned energy assets. Unlike the hardware world, where there is a broad agreement on technical specifications of a solar panel or EV or battery, software solutions lack definitional clarity. Terms like virtual power plant, fleet energy management system, and distributed energy resource management system mean different things to different vendors and utilities. Successfully adapting to load growth and DER adoption hinges on successful, scalable deployment of these software solutions. This depends on clear, mutual understanding of requirements, capabilities, and outcomes. Where the industry gets lost in translation. Without shared definition, the industry duplicates effort, misses synergies, and stalls the transition to smarter energy systems. Creates operational blind spots where meaningful KPIs become difficult to establish. Lack of clear definition, building solution for undefined problems while struggling to stand out. Teams waste time on redundant work and misaligned deliverables. At the industry level, innovation stagnates. Utilities act like a confused customer who can't articulate what they want to order, while vendors operate like chefs who don't know which dishes to cook. This is quite the article, just destroying the software vendors and the utility providers. It's actually, this is funny. That's really funny. Technology categorization suffers from unclear scope. Stakeholders can't agree on what fundamental characteristics define emerging energy technologies, leaving everyone with different baseline assumptions. Capabilities remain inconsistently defined. Vendors describe the same core platform features differently, creating confusion. Third, service boundaries blur the overlapping platforms, make it challenging to determine system scope during procurement and project planning. Colorado example illustrates the problem. Utility commissioners couldn't agree whether Xcel Energy's customer solar and battery program constituted a virtual power plant or prosumer tariffs. Okay. Platform-specific service models, procurement. Instead of requesting a virtual power plant solution, successful RFPs should detail specific pain points. Bidirectional energy trading with 15-minute dispatch intervals. Okay. Enable operability through open standards. Okay. Interesting. All right, thank you everyone. Once again, this live stream was brought to you by, give me one moment. Zayuk Smart Property System. Zayuk is an inspection and software service for property systems that need distributed financial systems. That includes digital twins of your property, which means 3D models that give you data visualization of items like your grid. That includes budgeting systems, vendor management systems, RFP systems, a smart contracting system, actually a blockchain system, believe it or not. And all that is able to give you a storage and a basis to manage your budgets, for your grid more effectively. And that includes vendor appropriation. So thank you, everyone.